going to beg to be a part of a group. If people don't want me, you don't want me.
All right, let's talk about something that's been bothering a lot of fans. What really happened to Sweet Tea and Dr. G on Married to Medicine? One day, they were part of the show, and the next, it's like they vanished without a trace. No goodbye, no big send-off, nothing. If you've watched reality TV long enough, you already know this kind of quiet exit usually means something went down behind the scenes. People don't just walk away from a show like that unless there's drama we didn't see.
I think there should be anyone who doesn't fight for their marriage. I mean, if you don't respect the institution of marriage. So I fought for my marriage, but that doesn't mean that was healthy at all. It got to a point where it's very unhealthy. And so I have moved on.
Not in the morning, not in the evening. It wasn't right.
So what actually happened? Did the producers decide to cut them? Did Sweet Tea and Dr. G choose to leave because it was too much? Or was something going on in their personal life that made continuing on the show impossible? Let's break it all down and get into what might have gone on behind closed doors. Let's start with Dr. G. His return to Married to Medicine was always going to bring drama. Remember, he used to be married to Quad Webb, and their divorce wasn't exactly quiet. It was very public and very messy. So when Dr. G came back to the show with a brand new wife, fans weren't just going to move on and act like none of that happened. We remember, the audience didn't forget the fights, the back and forths, and all the drama that unfolded during his time with Quad. So naturally, when he showed up again, but this time with Sweet Tea, people were watching closely. And unfortunately for Sweet Tea, that meant she was constantly being compared to Quad. Let's be honest, Quad is a strong personality. She's funny, sharp, and she knows how to hold her own on camera. She has history with the other women, and viewers are familiar with her. That kind of presence doesn't just disappear when someone new comes in. Sweet Tea was stepping into a space that was already tied to a lot of emotions and unfinished business.
Pissed off, and I was like, you know what? Like, why would you want to be there, you know? And then looking at it, like, you've been shading me since the first episode. Like, I didn't know, like, you know, it's just a lot of things were going on behind my back that I did not know about, and I was just kind of hurt and shocked by it. And I just wanted to let her know, like, I'm not a pushover, and you ain't gonna get away with it.
She was trying to build her own space on the show, but everywhere she went, people were looking at her like, is she better than Quad? That's not an easy position to be in. And to make matters worse, Quad wasn't exactly welcoming her with open arms. Sure, she wasn't screaming about it, but the shade was there. Her energy made it clear she wasn't here for the new wife. And if Quad hadn't moved on emotionally, the fans weren't going to either. Even some of the other cast members seemed unsure about this new marriage. Were they calling it fake? Not directly. But there were definitely some side comments and suspicious looks. From the moment she stepped into the group, Sweet Tea was already at a disadvantage. No matter how she acted or what she said, people had already made up their minds. She wasn't given the benefit of the doubt like others before her. Instead, she had to constantly prove herself, and even then, the comparisons didn't stop. In reality TV, if you can't break away from an old storyline, it's hard to create your own. And that's what happened with Sweet Tea. She didn't have a fresh narrative. She was always tied to the past. It's hard enough joining any group of friends when you're new, but joining a tight group of women who've been through multiple seasons together? That's a whole different level. These ladies had years of shared experiences, fights, makeups, family drama, you name it. They had a rhythm. Sweet Tea was trying to jump into that and find her place, but it was clear she didn't quite fit. And then there's the age and lifestyle difference. Sweet Tea is younger than most of the women, and sometimes it showed. Her interests and priorities didn't always line up with theirs. That can create a disconnect, especially in a group like this.
The
the group is kind of like blaming me and blaming you. That's just not right to ice me out based off of what my husband's decisions are.
The issue is respect.
Now, let's talk about alliances. On these kinds of shows, you need at least one solid friend in the group to help you stay afloat. Every successful new cast member had someone in their corner. Did Sweet Tea have that? Not really. She didn't form any tight bonds with the other women. That's a big problem, because when the group doesn't support you and you're not creating standout moments on your own, the audience doesn't have much to hold on to. Let's be real, this is reality TV. If you're not bringing shocking moments, wild arguments, or deep emotional scenes, you're probably not going to last. So did Sweet Tea give us anything that had people talking? Not really. There were some awkward moments and a few uncomfortable conversations with Dr. G, but nothing that had social media buzzing. And in this kind of show, you either need to bring chaos or have a relationship that people love to watch. Sweet Tea and Dr. G didn't really give us either. Sure, we saw some tension between Sweet Tea and Dr. G. She seemed frustrated with his behavior at times, and it looked like he wasn't always meeting her halfway. Some scenes felt tense, like something was boiling under the surface, but it never really exploded. They had a few dinner table arguments and awkward silences, but nothing that crossed into full-blown disaster. And while that might be healthy in real life, it doesn't make for great TV. When you think of reality TV icons, you remember their biggest fights, the unforgettable one-liners, or their emotional breakdowns. Those are the moments that live on in clips and memes. Sweet Tea and Dr. G didn't have that standout moment that made people say, "This is why I watch the show." Without a major moment or memorable scene, they were easy to forget. And unfortunately, that's probably a big reason why they were quietly removed from the cast. When some people leave a show, the fans go wild. Social media explodes, people start petitions, and viewers beg for them to come back. But when Sweet Tea and Dr. G stopped showing up, the reaction was quiet. Some people noticed, sure, but most just kept watching the show like nothing happened. That silence says a lot. It means the audience wasn't deeply connected to them. They didn't have a strong fan base that demanded more screen time or wanted to follow their journey. Here's the thing, maybe they weren't kicked off. Maybe Sweet Tea and Dr. G looked around and realized the show just wasn't a good fit.
I really want to run away from a situation, but it's just maybe better to back up a little bit. But I don't feel good about leaving. I don't feel good about staying. So that's what you want to know.
They might have seen how the cast reacted to them, how fans picked apart every little thing and thought, this isn't worth the stress. Sweet Tea never really found her footing with the other women, and Dr. G didn't seem like he was stepping up to support her. Add in all the comparisons to Quad and the lack of support from viewers, and you can see why they might have decided to bow out. Being on a reality show puts your life under a microscope. Every move you make is judged. Every argument is replayed. And if people don't like you, the backlash can be brutal. That kind of pressure can wear you down, especially if your own relationship is already feeling the heat. Some fans even felt like Dr. G wasn't really there for Sweet Tea emotionally. He wasn't backing her up when things got tough. If you feel like you're on your own on and off camera, it's no surprise you might want to step away. What we do know is that their time on Married to Medicine ended quietly, and that says everything. When someone truly makes an impact on a show, fans don't let go that easily. But in this case, the show kept moving, and nobody really pushed for them to come back. That's the big question. Eventually, someone might speak out. Maybe Sweet Tea will do an interview, or Dr. G will open up about why they really left. Reality stars often spill the behind-the-scenes truth after some time has passed. So don't be surprised if one day we get the full story, just not right now. Until then, we're left to put the pieces together. All signs point to one thing: They weren't delivering the kind of content reality TV thrives on. And whether they walked away or were pushed out, it was a quiet exit for a reason.